Hello everyone, welcome to Telling Tales. My name is Matt and I'm the game master for Symbaroum. Hi, which is what we're playing tonight. Dark Fantasy from the folks at Free League, while I move my fan off screen so it doesn't annoy you with its constant rotation. There we go. Lovely. How is everyone tonight? Good, I hope. We're doing things a little bit different around here these days. We don't really have a stream manager role so much anymore because our stream manager has become one of our players, which has obviously massively thrown me off my usual structure of introducing our stream manager. But instead, I'll just crack on straight with our promotional stuff, and then we'll just bring the players on and get on with some lovely Symbaroum. Yes. So if you check down below, you'll see a bunch of links. Links to our YouTube and to our Twitch. You're watching on one, please check out the other. Our YouTube in particular has just hours and hours and hours and hours of content on it by now. Multiple series, one-shots, all sorts of stuff. There's bound to be something to delight and entertain you in there. There's links to our social media as well, to our Discord and to our Patreon. Those all do the things you might expect them to do. So check them out if that kind of thing interests you. We run 3 weekly campaigns. Actual play campaigns here on Twitch. Monday nights is Johnny's night, and that is Shadows of Esteron currently, which has been going a couple of weeks, so you can still get in there moderately early if you want to go check out the VODs first. Wednesday night is Symbaroum, which is obviously this. That's what you're here for. We're playing the Throne of Thorns campaign, currently on Wrath of the Warden, which is the first segment of it. Oh boy, we've got a lot to go, considering not all of it has even been released yet. So, yeah, that's good stuff. Our third series, which was Tuesday nights until recently, is changing this week. And we're starting a new series tomorrow, Thursday nights. As usual, as with all our streams, it'll start at 8 o'clock GMT, which is a bit of a... I would give you guidance in other time zones, but we've just done daylight savings this week. So it'll just confuse matters, but 8 o'clock GMT is when we will start tomorrow, and that is the Cincinnati Chronicles, which is our World of Darkness anthology series. We're going to be doing multiple story arcs using the different World of Darkness systems, and we're starting with Vampire tomorrow night for our first story arc, and we're very excited about it, and thrilled and terrified. It's an intimidating bit of work to put together, but we're looking forward to it. It's going to be good. It's only something I've dreamed of doing for about 25 years. No need to stress or worry about it whatsoever. It's all fine. We also have monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month, which is like just a different one-shot system every month. The next one of those is also this week. It's this coming Saturday, which is Saturday the 4th of November. Is that right? No, that's not right. It's Saturday the 6th of November. There we go. And it starts at 3 o'clock p.m. GMT. And that's going to be our very own Chris of Symbaroum playing fame. And he's going to be running Dune Adventures in the Imperium. Timely, right? Almost as if our cynical little hearts planned it that way. That'll be good fun. Check that out. And with that, all my promo is done, and I can start wheeling on the players, and we can start talking about what happened in last week's session. And then we'll get straight on with the wonderful grimdark adventure we have ahead of us. So let's start by bringing on Mike. Mike plays Anton, Theurg of Prios, all-around nice guy, questioning his faith and occasionally braining someone with a big flail. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Hope I roll better this week compared to last week, where I think I consistently rolled 15 and above.
Yeah. Was last week Antom's worst week of rolls?
In a very storied history of bad rolls, yes, last week I think it was terrible.
Yeah, that's in a way that's an achievement.
Yeah. A new high for Anton. Unfortunately, that meant
you want to roll things low.
Yeah. Last week, to recap the story, Anton arrived in Glimmervan after sort of stopping at Chakad's Heart a little bit longer than the other members of the party, and he arrived to a bit of a messy situation. There was a farm building on fire. There were people on the roof trying to escape. There were assailants surrounding it. People who've obviously just set light to it. And he arrived in the midst of all of that on horseback, quickly worked out that his friends were escaping and helping others to escape, and set about attacking the assailants.
Absolutely. A little bit of a cold open for Mike, although regular viewers knew what was happening. And to give us kind of a little idea of what's happening, or at least what then proceeded from that point at the farmhouse, let's bring on next player, Sam. Sam plays Askarai. Askarai is a changeling and a scout and has a nice mask and is pretty good with a bow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I
Likes
mean,
to shoot people.
you did. And I think, in fact, correct me if I'm wrong, you've shot some people.
That sounds accurate based on what I remember. We were kind of all when last week started, we were kind of all just about escaping this kind of farmhouse. Askarai had climbed up through a hole in the roof, and the children and this kind of the family members, I think, were getting out of that hole in the roof. And then kind of Elindra and Arundar and Steo ended up knocking through the door to get out, which was sort of barricaded. And for the most part, we dealt with the guys who were kind of surrounding this place quite reasonably. Antom definitely got in a bit of a slugfest. Well, I don't know if slugfest is right. A slow burn fight with an enemy, and they had some kind of magic users who did some nasty spells that would just.
They tried to put writhing larvae inside you.
Tried and succeeded in Askarai's case, unfortunately. But don't worry, I vomited them up later, so no worries there.
Yep, just fine. Turned out fine.
Yeah. Also at the end as well. And yeah, we kind of diced them up. At some point, I think Elindra especially noticed that they were members of the agency, the kind of mercenary treasure hunter agency that we work for, which was a shock. But they were all dressed kind of culty black clothes.
Yeah.
But eventually we kind of dealt with them, and at that point, all the family got out safely. We all got out safely. The farmhouse was completely ruined, and at that point, kind of the townspeople came up to see what we had done to their poor little village.
Absolutely, and to tell us how things went from that point in a somewhat fairly delicate situation, let's bring on our next player, Stephen. Stephen plays Elindra, former Templar initiate and turned quite angry sellsword, I'd say. Or at least she's angry. I'd say she's angry a significant percentage of her time.
She's working through some issues, that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Yes, as the fight finished, we were joined by Demion from Glimmervan, who is a kind of authority figure there. He'd clocked us as we came in and kind of clearly didn't trust us to not cause trouble, but we'd said that we were going up to this farmhouse just to talk, and then of course, half an hour later or whatever, he turns up and finds that the thing is on fire and there's an enormous fight. So Arkle's family vouched for us that we didn't start it, that we were kind of, that we rescued them. And that was enough to sort of not have us thrown in jail or strung up or whatever. But Demion kind of wanted us to finish our business and leave. I spoke to Arkle a little bit more. We were somewhat pressed for time, but we were trying to find. We went there to find information about Anadea, his sort of former friend and our contact. He confirmed that she'd had some radical ideas as far as these things go in the Church of Prios, and he confirmed that he suspected that she was having dealings with elves and specifically the kind of the Iron Pact. And then we turned to I kept one survivor from the forces that attacked us, and interrogated him somewhat. He is from Mother Mahira's agency. He was working for Erok, who is a sort of, I don't know, middle management figure.
Yeah, like one of the senior treasure hunters there.
Yeah. who very much should not have been using the agency to send people against other agency people.
Or seemingly using it as a front for recruiting for his cult.
Yes, yeah. Apparently, the information that we gleaned was that the prince wants us dead. We do not know who the prince is. That we are on the lists of all of the cultists in Thistlehold, and that we are marked men and women.
Yeah.
And with that, we thought it was probably about time to leave Glimmervan.
It did seem like a good opportunity to do just that, and to talk about kind of what, not a huge amount transpired, but kind of the sort of the chat you had and the planning you did and the travel back to Thistlehold. Let's bring on our next player, Chris. Chris plays Steo, former town guard, former infantryman turned curmudgeonly but lovable sellsword. Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, so we were kind of told specifically to leave Glimmervan, so it wasn't. It was a little bit of not run out of town, but definitely walked out of town. So
Escorted politely out of town.
Yeah, so we decided to again break our journey at the Jacob's Heart, where it was revealed to all, whereas maybe only Anton knew before, that the well of the Water of the Dusk has now returned to something resembling its old power, and is quite the artifact. But the kind of conversations that were going along the way there, because it was kind of in three parts. The first part was surprises of the essence. Let's ride hard to Thistlehold and just get this guy and have him deaded. To which Theo said, "No, I want a pint." So I think we kind of talked everyone around to stopping, getting a good night's rest, and taking the slow path to Thistlehold. The next thing we were deciding is who are our allies and who can we call to assist us in this matter. Steo suggested the town guard, because that's what he does. And definitely kind of, I think we all came to the conclusion that speaking to someone at Mother Mahira's, specifically our good goblin pal, Urfons, would be probably the best idea. And we finally we decided to arrive pretty late in the evening, just to kind of be the last person through the gate almost. And we actually, on recommendation from Master Dar, we went to the Hall of Knights as a kind of good place where people who want us dead probably aren't going to be checking for us and might not have access even if they were. And they have handy little conference rooms with
absolutely little
spider phones that are probably actual spiders.
That's the best joke anyone's ever made on this channel, Chris, with a very niche audience.
Yeah, I love amazing. We then sent Aaron off to go and fetch Urfons as the one who is least embroiled in being marked for death.
We did. And to tell us how that went and then how the session ended, let's bring on our final player and our newest player. John plays Arindar, last scion of the House Dar, finally having received his house sword after it being missing for a long, long time. And also was one of the stars of our Symbaroum spin-off series, Fetters of Stone, now available in full in VOD form on our YouTube. Go check that out if you're interested. Hi, John.
So, hello. Slight spoilers for that, but
Aaron survived. Yeah.
Yeah. So Aaron was sent off to find Urfons as the one who probably wasn't immediately wanted dead / presumed dead. Urfons was quite open to following Aaron, either because he is a very trusting person, or because he was very confident in his ability to kill me if I was laying a trap for him. Aaron and I disagree on which one we think it is. And when he was brought to the Hall of Knights, he was caught up that one of the other managers at Mother Mahira's has a cult, and we decided to go and have a very firm word with Erok. Right now, Erfon's leading the charge, and we found his house, knocked on his door. Erok made some sort of noise about being a feeble old man, and then jumped out the back window. We split into 3 groups to try and catch up with him, like around the side of the house or right through the middle of the house and batter the door down. And only, I think it was Antom and Alindra
Correct.
chose the right path. Didn't quite manage to catch up with him before he ended up with a throwing axe embedded in his head.
Mm-hmm.
At which point Antom and Alindra, or maybe just Alindra by that point, were greeted
No, it's both of them.
by an elf.
Mm-hmm. One of the elves of Davakar standing on a nearby roof, casually tossing a paired throwing axe in the air. I believe addressing you and saying something along the lines of that you've been getting a lot of attention recently, and seems to have dealt with your Erok problem for you. So let's pick up exactly where we left off. I don't see the need particularly to reduce the cams on screen. I think people will catch up before long. So, Anton, Elindra, you are faced with this figure standing on a nearby roof. You can't see them that well, but you can see them enough to know, this is an elf for absolute sure. Have either of you ever actually? I think the only elf that Anton has ever seen was actually someone wearing the skin of an elf fraudulently, or a body wearing the skin of an elf or something during the Mark of the Beast.
We met a couple of elves.
Yeah, one of the very first sessions, right?
Of course you did. Yeah, you absolutely did. I do apologize. Elindra, it's entirely up to you. If you haven't spent much time in Davakar, it's really unlikely you'll ever have seen an elf.
Yeah, I don't think she's set foot in Davakar yet.
Yeah. So just to describe, what? Let's use. I can even use an image here, and this is an image we've used before of an elf of Davakar, and I believe we actually used them for one of those elves that Mike mentioned. If my image viewer decides to actually start working. This is just, and this isn't like the elf you're talking to. This is just an illustration of what elves look like in Symbaroum. So,
I have it if you would like me to share it.
all that talking was to just cover me bringing it up.
I fell for it like a fool.
There we go. So yeah, that is what elves of Davakar look like. Slightly alien-esque. Slightly feline, like their faces kind of come forward to almost a point. And this elf looks roughly like that, but not exactly like that. They're standing there watching you with an inscrutable expression on their face. You go so far as to say no expression. I suppose, Alindra, for you, it's like, obviously you know what changelings look like, and changelings are kind of like diluted elves, as you might imagine. Like, they have some of those features, but this is very, very not human looking.
Okay. I'm going to catch my breath and see if let Anton start the conversation.
So I think my first question is, wait, why did you want this person dead?
We want all the cults of Thistlehold dead. All the cults of Ambria and the barbarian lands. We want you gone.
Well, we definitely wanted this person gone as well, although we did have some questions about the cult that he belonged to. How did you know that?
It did not matter. He was simply a pawn set on your tail.
We're aware of that. May I ask what else you know about this cult?
His? Or the others.
We gather there's several cults in Thistlehold right now, and apparently all of them want us dead.
Not all of them. One of them does, though. And they've paid others.
I think we're at least somewhat aware of that. What did you mean when you said that we've been drawing attention to ourselves?
Mine, for one. Those are my compatriots. The cults. Those below.
We've been trying to investigate what's happened here.
Where is the woman?
The woman that contacted us.
Anadea, where is she?
She is in the sinkhole.
Was she working with you?
In a manner of speaking. Not with me. With others of my kind. She was being tested. Clearly she failed.
Well, she died.
That is what I said.
Can you tell us more about the leader of this cult? The person above Erok?
Erok led these. The one sending messages claims to be the prince. I do not know if that name is being used in vain or not.
We've heard this name. We don't
One
know
of
who
the
he is.
problems is that the cults that are truly dangerous are the ones who stay secreted. All I can tell you is this. Others are looking for you. Seek out the Red Eye. There is an assassin also. Deal with them and perhaps you can blunder your way forwards. And then perhaps we can talk again.
Who are you?
You truly do not know.
I could make a guess, but I wouldn't want to insult you by getting it wrong.
It would be monumentally difficult for you to insult me. The figure kind of sketches out a very kind of graceful and you don't get the intention, a particularly respectful, almost a mocking bow on the rooftop, and just quietly utters, "Nevermore," and is gone. Skipping away, the kind of you just got an impression of him kind of bounding away across the rooftops, but gone. Because we are in nighttime as well, right? So just, I mean, you can try and pursue if you want, but even just climbing up onto that roof is probably going to take you a few minutes. Maybe Asker, I would have a better chance, but
I'm going to rate the elves' parkour skills above mine.
Mm-hmm.
Anton, what do we do about this body?
We didn't do it.
Given that Aaron and Askarai, you went around the other side of the house, right, and came to a kind of dead end. Do you think when you returned that you would have gone around the other side of the house in an attempt to follow the others, especially if you perceived that they had actually managed to get around the house and on?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd say that at this point, I'm perfectly happy for Aaron and Askarai to arrive then. To kind of, maybe you kind of are running down that long road that led from the back of the house, and you hear, I think you'll have heard the very tail end of that conversation, and then have kind of you can kind of burst into that alley yard if you want.
What happened?
You killed him.
Someone else got to him before we did. An elf. In fact, Ascarai, I think that we know of this elf. I'm just going to step out of character for a minute because I think this was one of the maybe am I right in saying it's one of the witches that we met outside of Disselhold who said nevermore to us?
It's Gadramon
Okay.
or Ephanea.
Indeed, yes, you have heard one of the witches say nevermore.
Yeah.
I think you have seen the phrase nevermore in other places before as well. Specifically, and I could be wrong, I think the letter you found back in Mark of the Beast that was signed by Master, that one of the first victims, like the main crime scene you first encountered, the guy who turned out to be a member of the Iron Pact. I believe he signed a letter off that you saw. I believe he signed it nevermore.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
You are not wrong.
Did they? We all had a sketch of an elf in one of Anadea's.
You did. This elf did not look like that sketch.
Okay.
Just so we're clear. Although telling the difference between elves may not be your strongest suit, but for what it's worth, didn't quite look like this elf.
So go ahead, Lindra.
Oh, well, I was going to try and fill them in. There was an elf. The elf killed Erok. The elf said nevermore. The elf asked after Anadea, and when we told her that Anna told... Sorry, when we told them...
I guess. I think you think the elf was male, but okay. Yes, it was quite difficult to tell.
So we told them Anadea was dead, and they said that they'd been testing Anadea, and that clearly she'd failed the test. She said that we'd got the attention of at least one cult, but not all of them, and said that we had to deal with the Red Eye and also an assassin. And if we did that, then maybe we would speak again.
I think the phrase that was used was "seek the Red Eye," if I'm getting that right.
Mm-hmm. We've had a nice little reminder in chat as well. I believe, Ascarai, if you look at your iron ring, it also has nevermore written on it.
It's written on my ring.
I believe so. According to Lowin in chat there, but we could double check that. But yeah, It certainly seems likely.
Well, the thing is, I don't have the ring that Master Vernum had.
No.
Oh no! You have the ring that the dead elf had.
Yes, so I don't know if my ring has it on or not.
Oh, you know what? I'm thinking it might. Maybe we're wrong. I think there is an iron ring in Master Vernum's quarters, and you guys didn't find it.
Yeah, Barmello found it, and Barmello found it and took it,
and now has it.
We might even give
it. Still alive. Yeah.
Does my iron ring have anything written on it?
No. That didn't sound quite right to me. And that like maybe we could be entirely wrong. But either way. Either way, it is a phrase you have heard in association with the Iron Pact before multiple times.
Sounds like typical elves. Just could be helpful, but just...
He sounded like he was mostly interested in killing cultists, which I can sort of get behind, but I don't know the extent to which he made a distinction between cultists and just us. Just people not from Davakar, except that he left us alive.
Well, it sounds like he didn't care very much about Anadea dying. I can't imagine he'd care much about any of us.
He did tell us to go find an assassin who's trying to kill us, which isn't something one usually does when one wants the other to have a long and happy life.
Yeah. I don't
suppose,
know. I mean, it wasn't unhelpful.
I suppose the assassin could be this woman who's been asking around about us. Who's seemed very nondescript always. Sounds like an assassin to me.
Oh, the one that sent those street thugs.
Well, potentially, I'm not.
Well, okay. Some ideas to consider. We have the corpse of Erok here, which we should look at. We have Erok's house, which we could look at. We need to think about how visible and present we are in Thistlehold, given that we know of multiple different parties who are out looking for us and the people who we've attracted the attention of. So, where do we start?
And sorry to interrupt, but speaking of Eric's house, I feel we should jump there with Urfons and Steo specifically. So you and Urfons, Steo, had very little problem kicking down that front door, battering your way in. Urfons sent you kind of upstairs to you can't hear it, like you couldn't hear anything. It was just a very generic kind of dingy interior of an old, like what passes in Thistlehold for an old rickety wooden building. He sent you up the stairs while he went down to what looks like a basement. You kind of dashed upstairs, had a look around. I'm assuming you are. I don't want to speak for you here, but obviously tell me if you would have done something different. You didn't find anything untowards, just like a bedroom, typical rooms. It didn't seem like Erok had any particular urge for finery or for spending his money, particularly a load of battered furniture. You found a rack of books, some of which look like mystical in nature. And basically, when you went downstairs, Urfons came up from the basement with a somewhat blanched look on his face and told you not to go down there.
Okay. And the ground floor is pretty much blank as well, it being
pretty much normal. Urfons is standing kind of like just leaning slightly, kind of with one hand on the corridor, like the corridor entrance, and just says, "Look, the mother will want this place turned over top to bottom, and she's not going to want us to be the ones who do it. Fair. How about we secure that door shut, make sure no one else gets in here, and we go find the others and see there's obviously nothing dangerous here. Trust me, everyone here is already dead."
Dead on the inside as well. Okay. We fix up the door as much as possible with the equivalent of crime scene do not enter tape.
Yeah, absolutely. You find a couple of like lengths of wood in the alley yard and kind of not hammer them, but kind of like force them into place over the door.
I'm going to pointedly not ask Urfons what he saw down there because the poor lad's seen enough.
Sure. Do you think you two would then go and try and find the others? He said,
yeah,
trying not to just force everyone together again.
Not at any huge clip, because I don't think these people need much help. But once we're finished in the house, we'll walk down.
Sure. At this point in the conversation, that alley yard, then Urfons and Steo also arrive.
Well. What's going on here then?
We've got a dead Erok.
Okay. Result.
We met an elf.
Okay. Result.
Who killed Erok.
Okay. Iron Pact, were they?
I think so. Said to seek the red eye. Said that we had. We'll talk about an assassin that was after us, which I assume is on top of all of the cultists and all of the people that the cultists have hired. There's one specific assassin. We're just trying to work out what to do with Erok. I don't particularly want to be seen dragging him down the street. I guess we just leave him here.
I think this
Pull the
counts as
card.
the agency business now, and I think we should probably take him back to the house just to limit the amount of crime scenes they're going to have to deal with.
Okay, we'll gather the crime scenes together.
I kind of
Okay.
look to Irfans for approval there, but
He nods and goes and starts picking up Eroc's feet. If someone can sling their, he's not a heavy man. He was like an older, verging on elderly.
yeah, I'll
Albeit
take
spry.
I'll take the top end.
Sure. You carry him back to the house. Irfans is happy just to shove him in that opening hallway and then close the door again. And he as the door is closed, he looks up and looks around at you all and says, "A good night's work. I had a rummage down in that basement. If anyone was any doubt, he needed to die."
Blighted, is it? Or corruption?
It's a mess down there.
Well, thank you for your assistance, Irfans. Always good to have the agency on the right side of us for a change.
Look, I'll try and sort this out, but clearly something is off. Hopefully we've cleaned out the infection here, but this is going to cause waves. And it probably doesn't help that... Look, I don't know what you've said to Serix, but he's ranting and raving about disrespect, and just maybe stay away from the agency for a few days while I calm things down. All right?
God, boss.
Maybe the mother will want to talk to you about this. Maybe she'll just take my word for things. But either way, just don't come in for a few days.
I imagine if she wants to find us, she will be able to find us.
Well,
I imagine she will, yeah. Well, everyone knows what you're doing tomorrow.
I'm not sure I do.
Surely, where have you been?
Glimmervan.
Okay. There are posters nailed up around town. The heroes of the sinkhole are going back in. Your names are on there.
It's whole day, is it? Oh,
along with some of the masters of the Order Magica. Oh, and our mutual friend who you've managed to piss off.
Oh, wow.
We're going down. Now, huh? We're going down the hole with Serix,
among others.
Am I on the list?
No, but I'm sure you can tag along.
And it's not agency work, yeah? So there's no
maybe you can be a chaperone. Oh, it's going through the agency.
Okay, so at least something's holding Serix's chain, not that it's one for snapping when it needs to.
Look, Night Pitch is making a big deal out of this. People are being invited to come watch you go down.
Okay, look, if Night Pitch is the one printing the posters, then I can give you a good word that it's probably less than 50% cultists, but that's going to be a spicy hole.
The only reason that we've rubbed Serix Atio up the wrong way is because we were trying to investigate the sinkhole and the issues around the sinkhole. Maybe it's an opportunity to clear the air.
Maybe. Look, just
thanks.
Sitting in the wrong seat rubs Serix Atio the wrong way. I don't. You'd be almost unique in Thistlehold if you hadn't received a death threat from him at some point in your life. Just try not to cause any more trouble while you're down there, okay?
God, a hole full of corruption. Oh, right.
Well, that's why you're going down there.
Exactly.
Look,
and
there are some real movers and shakers going down there with you. So turn up tomorrow. They're probably panicking about where you are, in all honesty, and why they haven't been able to get in contact with you. maybe if you go back to the Witch and Familiar, there'll be messages waiting. But tomorrow morning, dawn,
Okay.
at the
Thanks
sinkhole.
for the heads up.
Yep, thanks for letting us know.
I am shocked.
Could've
It's all
used the
people are
day
talking
off.
about. It's all people are talking about.
This goes a long way to explaining why we're on the list of every cultist in Thistlehold.
Maybe
If we're the poster children for this.
I
Hey,
don't think that's it. I think it's because we're asking the right questions in the wrong places.
welcome to being famous.
I don't see a difference between what I said and what you said. Like we're trying to find out about the whole.
If you want my advice as someone people talk about in their cups when they're relating stories of daring and blood, you've made it to famous. You best rush to notorious, or everyone will want a piece of you.
How did you get out of going down the hole? We're going. Why is Sherrick's coming with us and not you?
I wasn't one of the heroes of the sinkhole, Ascarai.
Neither
Risking
was.
life and limb in front of everyone.
Yeah, in fairness, Sarek's killed about 400 blight beasts, but like that's a bad day for him. In fairness, look, it is what it is. Let's get a night's sleep and get ready.
Fons nods, wishes you a good evening, and wanders off, muttering about all the work he now has to do.
When he leaves, I want to go in the house and at least look at the body of the guy.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah. Nothing
it's
stopping you.
It's looting time.
Sure.
We're looking for clues.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, you can unblock that door and have a look at the body of Erok. So he has
300
Yeah.
Thaler.
I mean, the body is fairly self-explanatory. He's an aged man with a throwing axe embedded in his skull. He's wearing sort of woven silk, sort of quite flexible. Could still be used by someone as armor in a pinch. And he does not appear to have been armed at the point at which he fled. Did you say are you actually searching the body?
Yeah.
Ascarai? Yeah. On him, he has in a bag at his side, he has some kind of face mask of rough wooden bark, kind of very rough with holes kind of and a mouth carved into it. Not unlike other things you see. You have a mask, and various other people tend to wear masks in and around Thistlehold. So it's not massively remarkable. And can you roll 2d10 for me, please? Or if you don't have d10 there, I can roll them. I've got some d10 here.
2d10. I can roll 2d10. I got a 6 and a 10.
On him are 16 Thaler.
Oh, spicy.
Yeah, not bad.
We take those.
Is the throwing axe anything special? Just a normal throwing axe.
If I thought about it, I would have had the elf got it back. But no, yeah, it does look like a throwing axe of fairly nice design. Let me just check under the elf section to see if it's anything swanky and fancy. But if it is, I definitely don't think he would have left it.
I think if Ascarai is looking at maybe taking the throwing axe, I may try to persuade Ascarai not to take the murder weapon out of the body's head.
Depends on how nice it is.
Fons didn't know he had the Thaler on him. Fons definitely saw the axe in his head.
Yeah.
Why does that matter? I mean, I do agree.
Because this is a crime scene, and the agency are going to want to. The agency are going to want to investigate this. I don't think it's a good look if we have tampered with it.
Have to agree.
It looks like a throwing axe of elven design. It looks like a very well-made bit of gear with like a curved handle with sort of like thorn-like branches wrapped around it. Yeah.
Look, it did just go into his head. I don't think it's like those spicy arrows we had all those years ago that killed entire tribes of goblins.
All right, I guess we'll leave it, but it's a shame.
Was that what happened?
Yeah.
To some
Oh.
of them. Not all
Then
of
I
them.
think we should definitely leave the axe.
Sounds like the axe is being left. Well, no, it's up to Sam.
I will leave it. Maybe we'll see if we can get it back from the agency later, though. Doesn't seem likely.
Matt, you gave a very nice description of the axe there, but if you had to put like a numeric value on it,
I don't know off the top of my head. It's certainly fetch a price. Yeah.
16 Thaler is already a nice numeric value.
I will give out this. I guess I don't know how much that each, but I'll split it up.
It's 3 each, and someone gets 4. Or I mean, I suppose you can split Thaler, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's right to take his money as well, is it?
I am absolutely taking 3 Thaler off him.
I am fine to take 3 Thaler because no one else is paying us for tonight's work.
I mean, there was no witnesses to this. Like, as far as the agency knows, it looks like we've killed him to loot him, to rob him.
Man, no one has paid me.
Half the people in the
I've come
agency are trying to
all the
kill
way
us
from
anyway.
Glimmervan.
That burning farmhouse at Glimmervan cost me 2 Thaler.
Okay.
Do you know how many Thaler I don't have?
Split it between yourselves. I don't think I want to take it.
That's 4 each then. So
How much do you think it would have cost him to pay his disciples to put in the job at the agency to try and kill us?
Oh, this is not all his money. This is his walking around money. The guy's rank at Mother Mahira's, he is not poor.
Steer, did you and Earthon search the house?
Yep, completely empty top. Now there's something evil in the basement. Earthon said not to go down there. Per guy looked like he'd seen a ghost, and I've seen him. He has seen a ghost.
I'm going to start heading to the basement.
Oh my god.
Okay. So the basement, there's a door underneath the wooden stairs, and you can open it with a creak, and you can see that there are a set of very rough stone and wood stairs leading downwards. There is a torch that you can see is still like softly smoking that someone has used to kind of walk down the stairs with presumably Earthon's that's kind of lent near the door but has now been kind of like damped out.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I want to look in.
Okay. Are you lighting the torch, or are you just kind of going down and peering around in the dark?
I guess if it's completely pitch black in there, then I guess we're probably going to.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah. Well, I like the touch. I mean,
I assume that's the royal we because I'm staying out of this.
Yeah, I'm assuming unless anybody says otherwise that I'm down here on my own. But
I think I will go down.
Sure. So Alindra and Askrai, you light the torch. I'm assuming it's Alindra with the torch and Alindra in front because you were the one kind of saying about it. You pace your way down the stairs as only a couple of paces, and you start to smell something. You start to smell the sweet smell of rot together with the overwhelming iron tang of blood. And when you reach the bottom, you see a fairly large area that seems to be kind of most of the floor area of the upper part of the house. Kind of an old rank basement that with sort of rotting wooden walls and roughly packed earth underneath. Various points in the ceiling above, large iron hooks have been kind of rammed into the floor supports above, like kind of sort of rafters above. There's not a lot of room though. It's about the same height as sort of Elindra's quite tall, and it's about the same, just a couple of inches higher than you. From almost all of the hooks, you would say maybe around 10 or so are hanging bodies of various kinds, most of which have their feet tied together and have been kind of slung upside down from there with their arms kind of draping down along the floor. Almost all of them seem to have been, in fact, all of them seem to have been cut open in various ways, whether that's kind of along their center, their throats. A couple of them appear to have the tops of their heads removed, and the floor is fairly awash with old blood, gore, entrails, brains, and other kinds of matter. Scattered around are the remnants of various kinds of mystical ritual. You can see kind of candles and markers and kind of packs of chalk and cards and various things that perhaps a slightly inadequate mystic would use to try and augment their rituals. It must be not all the bodies are human. A couple of them are goblins. Quite at least a few of them look terribly young.
Okay. So would it be accurate to say that the kind of the overwhelming sense here is of like ritual sacrifice?
Yeah, I mean that's a fair analysis.
As opposed to, say, I don't know, a butcher's shop or just a
random
psychopath, no. or they're trying to.
You definitely got the sense that whoever was doing this was doing it with some kind of purpose, although also perhaps not a purpose they were particularly proficient at.
Right. Magic rather than science, essentially.
Yeah, and like specifically, there seem to be mystical accoutrement, but they don't seem particularly coherent. And you've had training in the doings of sorcerers. Whoever was doing this was trying to be a sorcerer, but there's no evidence of success. There's no evidence of like any particular relevant mystical item or anything like that.
Cool.
Is there anywhere down? Is there like any like desk or drawers or any like something that might have any information down here? Is it just the body?
There is nothing like that. And you know what? To take a proper kind of look around this place, and obviously you can tell me, no, I'm fine with it. This is all fine to me if you feel your character is that. But to spend protracted amount of time here and look around, I'm going to need a resolute roll because this is an awful place. And unless you are fairly emotionless, like you're going to be feeling sick just from being here.
I think unless there's some obvious place where there might be something worth looking at, like since there's no like desk.
No, there's no kind of storage device or anything like that down here. It's just a big empty room with these bodies hanging from the ceiling.
I've seen enough.
Me too.
Gonna go back up the stairs. And maybe go and stand outside a bit and get some air.
Yeah.
Once everyone's out, I'll try and rig the door up the same way as it was when we left it. And then kind of step outside and with a kind of, right then, where are we staying tonight?
I'm assuming no one is questioning Asker and Alindra about what they saw.
Don't think I want to know.
I think I can read on their faces the same disgust I read on Irfon's face. I've got a fairly good idea. At least the food group that is down there, if nothing else.
I need a pint and I need a bed that I know I am going to the Witch and Familiar and I'm going there now.
Yeah.
If I'm sleeping in the Witch and Familiar tonight, I think we should post watches.
Sleep where you like, Steo, but I can't. I need a sit and a drink and somewhere to sleep before we have to go down that hole tomorrow.
Okay, look, half the town's after us. I say if we all go to the Witch and Familiar, we'll keep a watch.
Okay.
Aaron, do you want to join us?
Yeah, we'll get a room.
It sounds like you need bodies for the watch. Yes.
Appreciate that.
You like it? It's a nice spot.
Yeah, so you cross town again. Obviously, it's quite late, but you pass more than a few sort of slightly ragged and hastily printed off posters adorning various sort of lamp posts and the sides of buildings and the frames of market stalls that do indeed say tomorrow. The heroes of the sinkhole will descend to discover the cause of this terrible tragedy that has been inflicted upon our fair town. Come watch and cheer and herald their grand victory, sort of thing. There is kind of a roughly scrawled image of heroic Ambrians, none of whom in any way remotely resemble you, Serexatio, or anyone else you saw. They're just kind of, all well-muscled, big, large swords, looking very bold and brave, and yeah.
So Serexatio and Stio maybe about 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, absolutely. But you are listed by name, along with Serexatio and a number of other individuals. Would you like the full list?
Yes.
So yes, yourselves, Serexatio. It says Master Eufrinda and Master Furia of the Ordo Magica. It says Captain Marvello, and it also says Father Elfino. The first father of the Sun Church here in Thistlehold. They were both there, and both fighting. I think at least one of you will caught a glimpse of Elfino and his retinue fighting from atop I think I mentioned that there was like a large cart that had been brought in, and Night Pitch and Elfino were on top of that, and they were both fighting from on top of that. So it's not untrue, and Marvello was definitely there during the later part of it fighting.
Did the posters give any indication of who put the posters up? Is this an Ordo Magica show? Is this a Mayor Night Pitch show?
It has Night Pitch's stamp on it.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, that is going to be a hard day's work.
Yeah, we definitely need a good night's sleep.
You make your way to the Witch and Familiar without incident. You head on in. You're warmly greeted by the landlord, who's more than happy to, move an extra bed into your chamber for Aaron as well, and provides you. It's not late enough that he's not still providing food and drink, and he provides a hearty meal and some drink, especially for the heroes of the sinkhole. And there are a couple of other people in the Witch and Familiar as well. And on hearing this, they kind of sort of like raise their tankards to you and send more drinks your way. So yeah. Word has definitely gotten out.
I'll mention to Alamar that we'll be posting a watch and he shouldn't take it personally.
He says, "Oh, no, you do what you wish. There are several messages here for you from the Order Magica, but they all very much have the same theme to them. Would you like them?"
Yeah, sure.
He goes and fetches a small sheaf of papers, maybe 4 or 5 messages or so, that are kind of increasingly strident messages from Eufrinda over the last day or so, saying, you are to be by the sinkhole at dawn tomorrow. Be there. Be there or you will not be paid. By the end, it's like, be there or you will not be paid for any of this sort of thing. Because your pay, of course, is still outstanding for going down the first time.
Of course. I'll back at the table. I'll be like, kind of pass one sheet out each, I suppose, and be like, there's nothing stopping us from just not going there tomorrow. I hear Castor is lovely this time of year.
Just derail the entire campaign. Leave. Just no. It's the whole. Just no.
Do you ever want to show your face in this town again?
Like, at this stage, that's 50%. Do I want to be trumpeted as some kind of ridiculous hero? And 50% do I want a cultist assassin trying to kill me?
Right.
Look.
At least if we die down the hole, we die ridiculous heroes. They will turn this place into a theme pub.
Oh my god. They're gonna ruin it.
That's something, isn't it?
Isn't it already a theme pub?
Barbarian is
A
not
different
a
thing.
theme. The Northerners are a real people. Oh,
Did he
look,
mention?
I jest, but we're going to have to go down the hole, aren't we?
I mean, it seems like that is where we need to go anyway. We've done all this work trying to figure out what caused the hole. I'm not against going down there and actually finding out.
I've got almost nothing by way of leads for understanding what happened here that aren't down that hole now.
Worst comes to worst, we just hope whatever's down there gets Cerex first. That would solve at least one of our problems.
No.
Would you rather it get someone else first, Aaron?
No.
I'd be more worried
Aster I've been learning how to argue on Twitter.
Look, at least let's hope that list of notaries aren't the only people going down, because like it wants a detachment, not a flippin' adventuring party. But I suppose we'll see in the morning.
Okay, yeah. Unless there's, go ahead if there's any other kind of conversation or acts, acts you want to take. But if not,
I will gently suggest to the group that it might be appreciated if you were to send a message to the Ordo Magica confirming your attendance. Aaron will say without too much force or emphasis on it.
I'm busy drinking, and then I'll be busy sleeping, and then I'll be busy going down the hole. Auto Magica can know that we're going to arrive when they see us.
Yeah, and as long as we don't confirm it, there's always the chance that I can just slip out and go and live in the forest with my friends, the forest people. I don't know. I just want a break.
I'm not even sure at this stage whether that's Theo or Chris talking. The night at the Witch and Familiar passes without incident. You can have one person sit up with a jug of whatever they want to accompany them through the evening. And obviously, like, it wasn't kind of really late, and it's autumn now, I think we said. Fall for our American viewers. So I think the sunrise won't be till, our equivalent of 8 o'clock or so. So I think you've got a fair amount of time to sleep, and it's not too far to the sinkhole from the Witch and Familiar. So, is there any extra preparations or anything you're doing? Are you like taking you probably still have some adventuring packs left over, right? With things like rope and cooking supplies and stuff. Are you taking any of that stuff with you? Or, are you assuming the Audio Magica might have the logistics of this covered?
I think we'll take it, assuming that we shouldn't assume anything.
Yeah, take normal stuff we might take on any journey, I think.
Yeah, just the usual stuff that you would take down a sinkhole filled with corruption. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to take.
You jest, but this is the second time.
I'm definitely going to take my pack with me because there's a vague hope that if I take all of my own equipment, they'll be more likely to let me go.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So yes, people can kind of take obviously what they will, and unless there's anything extra you want to do, any kind of thing you want to arrange or talk about, then we can set off from the Witch and Familiar.
The only thing is, I'd like to ask Alamar, has anyone else come and asked about us while we've been gone?
No, just the messages from the Auto Magica, really.
Okay, thank you. It's good to know. That's it.
All right. You set off through the streets, which are unusually full for this time of the day, and they get fuller and fuller the more you head towards the sinkhole. Once you reach that area, which is a big, wide, open sort of it's not a square because it wasn't an open area before this happened. I actually have this image, which isn't. I mean, it also reminds us what Serex looks like, right? So let's take a look at that, and it kind of shows the sinkhole area, if we can see, with these buildings still standing around it. Obviously, there aren't Beast Clan there now, and Serex is in fact standing by the sinkhole, but dressed in his armor, not like that. But that's is a kind of view of what it is. So clearly, it's not kind of a huge open area. It's just basically where a city block has fallen into the ground. And surrounding it are crowds and crowds of people, many of which are being kind of pushed back by groups of city guard and sellswords that the Ordo Magica has hired, and Night Pitch's own detachment, and kind of trying to seem to be kind of trying to clear a space around the sinkhole, but not really get rid of people, as it were. Kind of seem to be encouraging people to at least stay nearby and make noise about this. Standing in a cart nearby is Night Pitch, who I don't think I conveniently I didn't add to my images for the session, but if you give me 1 second, here we go. We can see what Night Pitch looks like. Oh, this is much easier when John's doing it. There we go. There's Mayor Night Pitch.
Takes me the same amount of time as well. Could just ask.
Sure, yeah, but now spoilers, you see. Now you're a player. So, that's Night Pitch. He's standing in a cart, very similar to the cart, probably the exact same cart he was standing in when the invasion from the sinkhole happened. And he is kind of like talking about the bold heroes who are going to make their way down. It's all you have heard people in position of power give speeches before, and this is very similar to most of them. The only difference is his voice isn't carrying terribly well and is cracking quite a bit, and he seems to be fairly frequently dabbing his face with a handkerchief, and all around seems to be not a terribly well individual. But he is here nevertheless in the soft rain. Talking and not saying very much. You can see a gathering of individuals near the sinkhole inside the kind of rough barricades that the city guard set up shortly after the incident. And within there, you see a number of individuals. You see Serex Atio because he's towering over everyone else. You see the Masters of the Ordo Magica, Eufrinda and Cullinan Furia, accompanied by Gandarold as well, the young changeling who went down with you the last time. You see a couple of other Ordo Magica novices. You see Captain Marvello with a small detachment of the city guard who do seem to be preparing to go down there with you. You see Father Elfano and a couple of what look like other Theurgs from the temple who seem to be preparing to go down. And have I covered everyone? No, I have not covered everyone. There is one other individual standing definitely with the group, but a little bit further away from them and receiving several unfriendly stares, specifically from maybe a couple of the city guard, but notably from the two Theurgs accompanying Father Elfano. Father Elfano himself is ignoring her. And this individual, you recognize her because you have met her before, or at least the kind of older player group has met her before. It is Yagaba, the witch companion of Mayor Night Pitch, who is stood there shrouded in dark lace and cloth, and generally seems to be intending to go down with the group, but most of the group is pointedly ignoring her presence. She is a controversial figure in Thistlehold, as the general sentiment of the town is against witches, but Night Pitch seems to trust her, and obviously that has led to many, many rumours about what the nature of their relationship might be. But she is alongside.
So how do we get into the racer's enclosure then, as it were? Can we make our way there?
Yeah, I think you just got to push your way through the crowd.
Yeah. We'll just
They're
tack
here
away
to
in
see us anyway, right? That last three.
Yeah. As you do kind of push your way through, once you're near the barricade and kind of one of the city guard kind of spots Steo and kind of waves a bit and comes over to kind of wrench open the thing. And several people nearby start shouting, "Oh, I saw them! They're some of the heroes! Let them through! Let them through!" And kind of a big cheer goes up around you. And kind of the couple of you maybe near the back of the group, I'll let you guys determine who that is, kind of receive kind of like slaps on the back and curse-laden words of encouragement.
I have killed a god, and I have never been as scared as I am right now, friends.
It's not just me that gets the feeling that we are being massively sold out here, right?
I think it's more complex than that, but I do not like this particular aspect of how Thistlehold has changed.
And given some of the people going down with us, I don't think we're getting too hung out to dry. Just, it is strange. Someone is using us somehow.
We've been turned into heroes overnight for doing a bit of paid sellsword work that anybody at the agency would have jumped at in our place.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe this is how heroes are made. I don't know, but it's very dramatic and very fast that this has happened.
So I suppose we should go and check in with our employers.
Yeah, line up like good little pawns.
You walk as a group over to the others, and kind of, various of them acknowledge your presence. Serex rather pointedly ignores you, and Father Elfino doesn't seem particularly interested in you arriving. Marvello gives you kind of especially will give Steo a kind of professional nod, and then turn back to his group, who he's kind of like seems to be instructing very carefully in how they should go about this, Furia glances at you, but Euphrinda steps away from the group. And there she is again, and comes over to you. Very, very large woman, perpetually smoking that pipe, which she whips out of her mouth and says, "Finally, the company is complete, and we can all descend and take care of this horror." She says this very loud before leaning in and saying, "Where the fuck have you been?"
Glimmervan, it was lovely.
Better have been. Are you ready?
Just about. Give me a minute. I would like to disengage from this group quite pointedly, and I'm going to go over to, I've already forgotten her name, but Night Bitch's Yagaba, and just kind of see if I can raise her attention.
She's, standing, just keeping an eye on everyone else. And as you approach her, her eyes kind of flick over to you. For the first time, you've seen her without kind of a veil of lace in front of her. It's pinned up at her brow, and she just watches you approach quite calmly.
I'll just keep a respectful distance, give her a little bow, and say, "Lady Yagaba, I am happy to see you in this party. We will need your expertise. And we believe there is more afoot here than a simple attack."
That much has been clear. You spoke to the others outside the North Gate.
Yes. They warned us of corruption from the deep forest.
Well, then let us see what shards of it have settled here beneath your town.
I'll kind of nod and kind of break off. I don't want to kind of needle her for information. I've actually got some information from that, so I'm happy out.
Euphrinda is now kind of like turning around and making sure kind of all the little leaders of their delegations are happy with everything. And there are several of the city guard, as they were before. You remember they had those ropes kind of like pinioned down into rock and stone of various kinds, the cobblestones and bits of remaining building. And it looks to be basically they've exchanged the rather standard ropes that you had the last time you went down for sort of very sturdy looking rope ladders that are sort of draped over the edge, and there's a good 5 or 6 of them kind of, so quite a few people can go up and down at once. And while this is happening and she's kind of coordinating the start of the descent, does anyone want to interact with any other people in this group at all?
I will probably approach Euphrinda, as she is this lot's manager in this, and say, I wish to join the expedition.
She kind of whips around, looks you up and down, and says, "Are you with them?
Yes. I have
Are you
all
with-
my own equipment as well.
Are you signed to the agency?"
Yes.
And they vouch for you. Theurg, Father Anton.
Both.
Do you vouch for this one?
I can vouch for him.
All right, Lordling, take your place.
Thank you.
Anyone else with
Scurry
anything?
off to place.
I think I'll just ask you, Frinda. So what is our plan for the day? To go as far as we can? Are we...
Well, that will depend on what we find down there, won't it? We will establish a base camp of sort. Technically more of a summit camp, I suppose. And then we will decide on delegations to send out in various directions. And then we will take it from there. We cannot possibly plan further ahead than that.
If we're setting up a camp, is there some idea we may be down there multiple days?
It seems unlikely.
Okay.
There will more than likely have to be some traffic up and down, injuries, casualties, that kind of thing. Reinforcements, maybe. It depends how lucky we are.
As always. Well, we'll hope for the best. Good to have you with us.
She looks at you in the fashion of kind of consider, she looks like she cannot really consider the notion that she is with you as opposed to the other way around. But doesn't make an issue of it and turns away. All these interactions, by the way, obviously her novices are nearby and Ganderald is nearby, who's kind of waved hello to you all in a slightly distracted fashion. But Cullinan Furia, the other Master of the Order of Magic, who's just kind of stood nearby quite quietly, sort of like peering at anyone Euphrinda is interacting with and just sort of in a more quiet, observational manner. Occasionally he wanders over to the sinkhole, kind of peers over and sort of makes, kind of noises and things like that before wandering back.
Is Furia the one we brought the note to? Or was that a different one?
No, that was the Archive Master, whose name currently escapes me.
Okay.
But Cullinan Furia, who I also have a picture of, was the other Master who was present at the sinkhole,
Okay.
who seemed quite grumpy. And he was next to Euphrinda. So that should tell you how grumpy he seemed. He was mainly the individual who was examining the bodies of the Beast Clan and determining that they had been flesh crafted and the like. So he seems fairly knowledgeable.
Cool.
I believe he remained silent in your consultation with the Master of the Order of Magica Tower. How about anyone else? Any interactions we're seeking? Okay. So the crowd seems to be kind of moving towards an almost kind of fever pitch of anticipation. And you get the sense as you're watching. In fact, you know what? Why doesn't everyone roll cunning for me?
Make it.
Yeah,
Okay.
need it.
Anyone who makes the roll basically gets the impression that Night Pitch's speech, which is somewhat rambling, and people are paying attention to it, though Night Pitch is a well-loved individual. And you see him kind of looking around, and though it's cracked and warbling a bit with his illness, his speech starts to kind of build towards a head of, these brave individuals are making their way down to secure the future of our town. And you can see that he's kind of playing the crowd to a kind of fever pitch of building them up. There is no particular time for you to go down. There's no schedule for this, but he's kind of building it towards a sense of when the crowd, and as the crowd kind of peaks with kind of cheers and waving and kind of little chants of support, at that point he kind of glances over, and you don't think most people would have noticed. He glances over at Euphrinda, who kind of nods and turns and encourages the first wave to head down there, who are all, Marvello has kind of taken the front of this and is kind of going down on one of the first ladders alongside his little group of individuals. Let's say there are 4 guards who are going down alongside him, and they're all kind of descending, and the crowd erupts into cheers. And then Euphrinda kind of looks at your little group and says, well, this is over kind of a roar of the crowd, essentially. Well, there are 5 ladders and 5 of you, so why don't you go down next?
That's our cue.
Establish a perimeter or whatever it is that you people do.
Come on, lads. Can only go downhill from here.
Yeah.
Literally. So...
You need to stop calling me a lad, Theo.
Sorry.
So... we don't have to do kind of the same sort of role, I think, as last time, because the rope ladder is obviously a very different affair from just descending on a rope. And as before, it's not like a sheer drop, it's an incline that you're kind of making your way down with your feet and your hands, and the rope ladder makes it a lot easier to descend. Nevertheless, shall we have a roll from everyone to see just sort of generally how they do on their way down? And I would like a roll from everyone that is quick +5.
I want to point out that cunning roll was my first roll of the day, and I passed it, so I don't get any impediment.
Hooray!
Rolled.
You don't get your elderly malice through the day. If only it worked like that for actual old people. Speaking as one of them.
I failed the roll by 1.
You don't need to say it at this point, Mike.
Oh, okay.
We'll just assume.
You sucking me in with that comment.
Yeah. So, did anyone other than Mike fail it?
I had a target of 18 and I rolled 19.
Oh, brutal. So Aaron and Anton, and let's say you're kind of maybe you're on ladders kind of next to each other at one end as you're descending this kind of like steep slope of scree and rubble, which I imagine has probably got it's probably got steeper and a bit more inclined as the days have gone by, as rubble has like descended downwards, and both of you kind of like step on a layer of rubble and stone that sort of gives way underneath your feet and leaves you kind of like dangling a little bit on this rope ladder for a few seconds before you find your footing again. You hear the voice of Marvello kind of calling out below you saying, "Everyone all right?"
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, go slow. Isn't a race. You can hear like the roar of the crowd kind of diminishing as you're making your way down now into. It's not dark down here because you're still in the light that's falling on that vast hill of collapsed buildings and rubble at the base of it. But eventually, all 5 of you make your way down and stand there, kind of getting your bearings. The rope ladder kind of like. Jumping in your hands as you get off, as you look up and see other figures clambering down behind you. Marvello and his city guard, all of whom definitely look a little bit nervous, apart from Marvello, are standing like a little ways from the base of the rope ladders, kind of swords and shields drawn, and kind of like looking around, looking at that darkness on the edge of the shaft of light.
Just while there's a brief pause, I'm going to cast Blessed Shield.
Sure, yeah. Go for it.
So is there... who else is on their way down? Am I kind of... Can I take command of the situation right now?
I mean, if you rank yourself above Captain Marvello, then
Oh, it's Marvello
presumably
already
so.
down here. Okay.
Yeah. He and his group went down first, so they are.
Gosh darn it! My chance to order people around.
You can still do it if you know. See, you can see.
I'm going to quite pointedly start prepping a torch.
Sure. Yeah. A couple of, in fact, let's say all the guards and Marvello already have kind of like, they have like sort of belts that have little loops at the side that let them kind of like stuff a flaming torch, just kind of like, and it comes off an angle on their hip, like a kind of 45-degree angle, and just is there. And they've got to kind of like hold their blades quite high to avoid burning the back of their elbow, but they're still kind of there, you know, and they're, yeah, using those. Marvello isn't. He just has his out as he walks along their line. Kind of his shield is slung over his back. But yeah, absolutely. You find at the bottom, actually, alongside all the rubble, are several of what appear to be packs that have been thrown down. That are kind of like large bundles of supplies and various things, including some torches and oil for soaking them in to set them alight.
Sweet. Free torches. How much are they worth if I gather them all together?
Seems we have finally descended into our true murder hobo forms. So, yeah. The next people who are coming down behind you are Father Elfino and his two novices, and Serix Attio is with them as well, rather clumsily coming down a rope ladder designed for someone much smaller than him. He drops to the bottom with a string of curses, walks off to the side, very, very clearly and noticeably takes a swig from a hip flask, and then, you know, unbuckles his huge sword, which he was carrying stowed on his back, pulls it out of the scabbard, drops the scabbard to the floor, and just kind of walks around near the range of where the captain and his guard are kind of peering out into the dark.
I'd like to just take a look around, like the perimeter of what is visible, and see like what passageways, if any, there are kind of leading off.
Sure, absolutely. So as before, you kind of walk to nearer the edge of the shadow, and you cannot really reliably perceive anything beyond just the darkness out there. You're definitely going to have to descend off this vast hill of rubble and collapsed buildings in order to get any sense of the edge of this cavern whatsoever. It appears to be a lot bigger than this already very large hill of rubble.
Okay.
I'm going to sort of...
Which you can do, but you might want to wait for everyone else.
Yeah,
first,
I'm sure we will do, but yeah, I will wait.
While we're waiting, we're going to turn to the others and just say, so who do you think is in charge here? Like, your friend seems to have no idea about how we would investigate the sinkhole. For all I think she wants to seem to take charge. Like, is it Marvello? Is it Yagarba? Is it us? Are we all independent units?
If Yagarba tells me to do something, I'd trust her first. She's probably the one who knows the most in this group about the threat from the forest, which is really the reason we're down here.
I certainly imagine that she will have a better idea than anybody else.
What I want to, and in somewhat hushed tones, what I want to draw attention to is the fact that Serix and Thea came down together and might represent the other group of interested parties in this whole are lovely local cultists. Just a paranoid
wait.
Hold
up. You're saying Serix is a cultist now?
I think you might be taking money from them. Look, I just don't trust him, and I don't trust the First Theurg right now. And they're the ones in this party I trust the least.
Are you accusing the First Theurg of being a cultist?
Maybe not a cultist, but perhaps...
I'm also fascinated where this is coming from.
Perhaps not having the best interests of the town at heart. Maybe perhaps a little more implicated in the burning of Father Elfino's or Father Salvola's mission than.
So I could believe that they have some involvement in the Father Salvola affair, but that is quite a leap from there to
Theo,
there.
if we get out of this, I'm interested to learn a little bit more about where this is coming from. But I think you should push that to the back of your mind right
It's
now.
not a conversation.
Get your head thinking straight. We need you to wield that pole arm. We need you to be focused on what's down here.
The point of wielding the point of wielding a polearm in battle is that you know where the battle lines are. I'm not 100% sure I've got a good read on this environment, and I don't mean geographically.
Okay. So after Father Orfino and his novices, who descended a bit slower than Serexatio, reached the bottom, the novices seem... sorry, they're not novices. They're also theurgs. They seem somewhat unhappy to be there, but Father Orfino's presence seems to be steadying them. He's looking around fairly boldly and with very few reservations, and he kind of walks the line of those city guard kind of like murmuring soft words of encouragement and passing out blessings of Prios. If anyone else is near that line that kind of Marvello has set, he will also stop by you and do the same. Is anyone there and kind of accepting his blessing?
Yes, in a kind of in the detached manner of someone who still goes to church despite being like having nothing to do with church for decades.
Yeah, I think I'll just kind of stand there awkwardly and see if he wants to follow through with that, but not really stop him. Like,
oh yeah, he will absolutely do it. He's not kind of like personalizing. He's walking down the line and just kind of like carving Prios's sign into the air and murmuring words of kind of like Prios will watch over you in this righteous endeavor, sort of, etc. And it seems to be working fairly well for the city guard, certainly, who seem to be kind of comforted by these blessings.
I'll take a blessing.
Yep.
Okay. So behind the delegation from the Sun Church is, I believe, the final group, which will be the Ordo Magica, who are coming down, kind of not with the most experience at climbing long rope ladders for the most of them. Ganderald comes down fairly agilely, as does Furia, but Euphrinda and some of the other novices seem a bit unsure. But when they reach the bottom, kind of Euphrinda brushes herself off and starts kind of shouting commands at the novices to get things set up and sort of place torches in the ground around the edge of the shadow and things like this, which are all genuinely helpful things to do. Kind of, she doesn't seem to not know what she's doing entirely. And then a few moments after that, Yagaba descends and just as before, kind of drops to the ground there on the rubble and scree and just silently seems to be observing everyone.
At the moment, they're just setting like a perimeter of torches and stuff.
Yeah, like a perimeter of torches. And she's got a couple of the novices are kind of like going around, and as much as they can on the uneven ground, they seem to be kind of daubing some kind of blue paste on the ground in kind of slight sort of ritual symbols, perhaps some kind of protective circle of some kind. You're unsure. None of you are, wizards or particularly mystics beyond kind of the Sun Church, so you're really unsure. But it looks like that kind of thing.
So can I find some heavy chunk of rubble that would do for anchoring the weight of a person or a couple of people? If there is enough of a clunk of a building left.
Oh, and yeah, lots of that stuff around.
Just get a guide rope kind of thrown down the scree pile, probably towards the forest, towards the north. And just so that'll help us walk down. Yeah,
absolutely. And that is a very good plan, because walking down it will be a pain. So yeah, absolutely. You can find some big chunks of building, basically just as they've done above with the rope ladders. You can find a big chunk of building, pin it down, and start laying a rope, laying a rope down. As you do so, Elfano is like still walking along this line and kind of points to what you're doing and waves to the other Theurgs and says, "Brothers and sisters, this upstanding swordsman is laying our path forward. Help him, and starts encouraging them to come help you.
Mumble that I'm neither upstanding nor a swordsman, but carry on with my work.
But they do. They come and help you. Like the Theurgs gladly are kind of like, getting their hands dirty, kind of clearing a path and finding, large rocks, and they're bringing more pinions and more ropes so you can lay multiple ones down.
Sweet. I suppose look to Marvello for kind of guidance on the timing of this, or maybe just talk to him. It's like, when do we strike out? Do we wait for another speech?
No more speeches down here, I hope. Look, let's get these torches laid down. You've done good work there with the ropes, and then look, the masters seem to think they're in charge. I'm not interested in making waves. Let's see what they say. And if they say nothing, then let's me and you decide where we go first.
Understood.
Your crew will follow your lead, yes?
Yeah, and I'll follow your lead.
All right. You have more experience in this kind of thing than I do. I'm a soldier and I'm a guard, but I've never been to the forest.
I've been under the forest a few times. It's not pretty down there.
Well, let's you and me keep our heads together and make sure that the scholars and the priests don't make any big mistakes.
Yeah, understood, sir.
Is she something to worry about?
Is he referring to...
He seems to be referring to the witch, Yagaba.
I'm very glad she's here, if I can be honest, sir. We need as much help as we can get down here, and the Northerners know these ways and means the most.
All right, let's give her words weight then.
Yeah.
Does anyone else think they might be near this conversation as it's happening?
Yeah, I think I'd probably be lurking with an earshot.
Cool. I'll kind of have a team huddle afterwards and relay it and kind of go, okay, looks like we're sort of taking point.
I mean, are they going to want to split us into different groups and send us in different directions, or are we going to have like a constant perimeter that we're just going to expand until we find something, or are we all following your guide rope and all? I think north?
We're going to head north, just see what the scope and size of this cavern is, get a perimeter going, understand the limits of it, and then find, I'm assuming, whatever gaping hole leads directly north to whatever hell spawned this place.
Okay. I think depending on the size of this place, one large group is probably preferable to splitting up into lots of different groups and going in different directions.
I could not agree more.
I think whatever happens, at least we should stick together.
Absolutely.
Like I said on the way down, the witch's words are important, and then everyone else's words are useful.
So, as the novices of the Order Magica lay down their kind of protective circle, and those bundles that have been thrown down are kind of like opened up, and various supplies have got out of them. There's a little pile of kind of food and drink, and a little bundles of torches and rope and other things. The various members of the city guard and the Theurgs of the Sun Temple have now laid down kind of there's 4 or 5 ropes in different directions kind of leading down the scree to help you kind of make your way down, and that's not something you'd have to roll for or anything. Like, just using the rope as a guide and trudging your way down and watching your footing would definitely be enough among all this mess. And as everyone kind of like looks around and realizes kind of these rough first jobs have been done, everyone kind of like gathers a bit more together at the center. And Eufrinda looks around and says, "Well, I think that seems perfectly adequate as a start. Well, What is the intention next? I am a learned scholar and an excellent and accomplished mystic, but I have not been on these expeditions myself. She kind of looks out at the group, and Marvello nods and says, well, with your leave, masters, myself and Sergeant Steo here wish to take a group straight north, try and find the edges of this cavern and get the lay of the land. Euphrinda kind of nods and kind of looks around. Furia also nods, and Father Elfino says, praise Prios. Our way forward is clear. And I believe the intention was that some people remain here at this base. Should things go awry in some fashion, I would... He glances over. Father Anton.
Yes, Father.
You have some healing prowess, is that not correct?
That's true.
Then you and I will be sufficient. The other Theurgs will remain here should anyone need to retreat with alacrity, or if further support is required. The Masters of the Order Magic kind of nods. Euphrinda says, I will coordinate matters here and relay information up to the top if it is required. A couple of my novices will accompany me, perhaps with a guardsman for protection. The guardsmen all look at kind of Marvello like, please pick me. And Marvello looks around, seems to indicate that the youngest, who's like a boy of maybe only 18 or so, and says, you stay, make sure they're safe. And then turns around and it seems like everyone else, including Furia, Ganderald, Marvello, Elfino, are all going with you.
Is
and
Serix.
Serix. Oh, yeah, and Serix. Yeah.
Is he showing any real reaction to that?
He has ignored absolutely everyone and absolutely everything that's been said. He's mostly been standing with his back to the group, occasionally drinking from a hip flask.
Right.
Right. Guess we strike out then.
Yep.
I'll go and kind of looking to Marvello to see if he tells me not to, but given we've got the word, I'm going to go test one of these ropes and I'm going to start heading down the north slope.
Yeah. It sounded almost like Marvello was happy enough to follow our lead in this as well, right? So
yeah, I'm just maintaining political sensitivity.
Yeah. I'm happy to go and be among the first as well, right?
Sure. Marvello will also definitely move himself forward to be near the front. As you start making your way forward and kind of down the side of this scree, it's not like a short trip, especially because you've all got to kind of watch your feet and everyone's got to go in single file to be going down this rope. So you're kind of scattered among the group. As you do so, Anton, you hear a voice behind you, which you quickly recognize as Ganderald, who's coming behind you. And he says, Father Anton, I've been charged with taking notes for this expedition as I was for the one before. Now, I have... some of this rubble. I've seen the records of your expedition to the north. You are something of an certainly adequate cartographer. Could I rely upon you to perform this service again? I fear that I may be distracted by a number of other things.
Certainly, Ganderald, be happy to do that. Although at this moment in time, I'm carrying my flail, which I consider to be quite important. But
of course, I have some papers and ink here if you wish to use it. Let's hope that flail of yours isn't required.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully I'm here for map making skills and not my fighting skills. Yes, I'd be happy to help.
as the group descends further, a couple of things. Obviously, like many of you are carrying torches. Any of you who wish to be carrying torches can be carrying torches, and the guard are as well. Elfano has one which is actually burning very brightly and casting a great deal of light, presumably some kind of minor cantrip of Prios that he is ensorcelled it with, is making it kind of beam out light in the dark to a great degree. And the thing you all notice as you descend down is a sound that softly murmurs its way up from somewhere nearby. Hard to pinpoint. There's a lot of echoes in this vast cavern, but definitely the sound of water flowing. You make your way to the bottom of this vast hill of rubble finally, and peer out around you. There is the base of the cavern itself, which is just kind of rough pitted stone, and not much else to be seen, in all honesty. You still cannot see a kind of a wall or a ceiling or any edge of the cavern at all. Marvello is at the bottom, presumably alongside Steo and a couple of you, and everyone is just kind of generally waiting for the entire group to come down. And you know what? I feel like I should actually note down everyone who's here, otherwise I'll lose track of people. So obviously it's the party. It's Marvello, and with a bit of calculation, 3 guards. There is Elfano, Yagaba, and Furia and Ganderald. Does that and Serex? Does that sound like everyone?
Yep.
Lovely. There we go. So obviously it takes a little while for everyone to gather down at the bottom and wait. While that's happening, is anyone wanting an interaction with everyone or wanting to take any specific action? Plowing ahead, or
I think my action's going to be to kind of stake my torch in the rubble pile and secure it as kind of a marker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems to be a generally good idea.
How close?
Oh, you go ahead.
I was going to say, how close is that sound of water, and it's sort of in which direction?
Why don't you give me a vigilant roll at a -1 to try and figure out some of that?
Well, that's a success.
You think that the sound of flowing water, you think it's relatively nearby, and you think it's somewhere over, and it's up to you whether we want to talk in cardinal directions or... let's talk in cardinal directions, because that will help people. And you're heading north from the center, what feels like at least somewhat near the center of this cavern, and you can hear the sound of flowing water to the west.
So to our left.
Yes, correct.
I might take a torch, and without going too far away, just head in that direction and see if I can see anything. But I'm not going to go miles away from the torch that Steo's staked or anything.
I will go with Alindra.
Sure. I think it's fairly clear that you're taking like just a little side expedition away from there. And let's have after you take a few paces away, you can hear a kind of heavy metallic tramping behind you. And you can see that Serix Attio is a few paces behind you, his sword held across his shoulders. He's rather pointedly not looking at you, but he is behind you.
I will go with them. I have been, as we are walking, I'm not engaging Serix, and I'm not trying to be offensive with my presence, but I am falling into step with him.
Sure. You don't have to walk very far. You walk far away enough that you can only hear kind of the others' voices gathering at the base of the pile as kind of vague echoes, but you can see the glow of their torches. And you think that you've come kind of maybe. Let me try and do a calculation for this in some sense. No, there's no real calculation to be done. You get the impression that maybe you're about 30 meters away, something like that. And you happen across a kind of grooved channel in the floor of the cavern through which water is flowing, not in a very fast way, in a kind of meandering fashion. It's not terribly deep either. It's maybe a foot or so, deep, and the actual width of the channel is, maybe a couple of feet, but it is just kind of gently flowing, and it's flowing towards the west. And as you kind of come to a stop and kind of have a peer around, it's flowing actually from underneath the collapsed buildings. You get the impression that it's not something from the buildings. It's just because there's the groove that's clearly been worn over many years in the floor of the cavern. But it's come down on some kind of water flow through the cavern.
Okay, so it's essentially an underground river that
Small.
predates the sinkhole and has just been exposed.
It definitely seems that way. Like the channel looks like it's been eroded through years of the water flowing down here.
Can I turn on witch sight to see if this area has any particular kind of shadow?
Sure, absolutely, go for it. Let me just find what the original difficulty there was that we established from last time.
It says vigilant modified by discreet, but obviously this is a place and not a person, which is
absolutely. I think that there's definitely a witch sight thing from last time. No, it's just standard vigilant. So go ahead and make that.
Fail.
And there's no corruption with witch. Is there corruption with witch sight?
I think we house ruled it that there is no corruption if you.
There's no corruption if you fail anyway. Yeah. So.
I think
You don't get any kind of impressions from this area beyond. My cat has gone mad. Beyond, what you can see with your regular worldly eyes and senses. There is kind of so this is Elindra and Askari and Aaron are there, and Serix has kind of gone a couple of paces away and is peering off into the darkness. And as you're kind of like maybe kind of looking at this water a bit more closely, you hear him mutter, and he's saying it as if he's not saying it to anyone in particular. And he says, "This is a fucking joke from Prios. I don't want to hear anything from any of you directed at me unless you're a sword by my side. Let's just get this done."
I'm not there. I'm back at the.
No, you're not. No, neither's Anton.
Shrug, nod, say nothing.
He asked me not to talk.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start walking back to the main group.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yep. Sounds good. So you stand up and you walk back. While they've been gone, Steo and Anton, anything you'll have been doing there?
Just kind of talk kind of a general tactical meeting and just go, look, I think they've got the right of it. We probably follow that water source, whatever it turns out to be, as long as it's not blood, and mark the cavern based on how it's flowing.
Yeah, bit of a light cartography. That's about it.
Well, it's pretty dark down here, but fair enough.
Terrible. So, you return to the group. So is the plan, which Marvello is perfectly happy to do, to return to that water source and just follow it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the first line on the map, I suppose, which you have so cleverly in character, out of character, fourth wall breakingly delegated.
It's almost like I've done this before. The group in general is happy to go over there. You return to the water source that Elindra located, and everyone just starts pacing along that because obviously if you tried to go to the source of it, you'd be climbing back up the scree. So everyone is traveling to the west, right, and just seeing where it flows to. Is that the idea?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Great. So you do that, and you're pacing for quite a while with relatively little happening. You can't hear anything. You can barely see anything, even with the torches around you. You know, you can only see maybe Elfino's is making it cast the range cast a little further, but kind of, you know, 20 meters in every direction is really the limit of what you can see at all. And there seems to be very little here apart from the occasional bit of rubble and rubbish from above that's like rolled on a bit further than the rest of it. But you make your way to the west, and you make your way to the west for, I'd say, close on probably around 400 meters or so. And then you hit the edge of the cavern, or what seems to be the edge of the cavern. Vast kind of walls of grey rock appear in front of you. A lot of them, you know, there's not a lot of jagged protuberances. It all looks very kind of like soft and slightly molded, and has kind of little channels across it as well, although obviously not water because it's on the wall. But you get you know what, I only think Anton can roll this. I don't think anyone else can. Anton is the one with Lawmaster, so why don't you give me a cunning roll there, Anton? But either way, for the rest of you, this water channel seems to go into a passageway that leads to the west. A not huge passageway, but one that does have kind of like, you know, the channel isn't occupying the entire passage. There is footing to be made heading to the west.
Is it natural? I hope it's natural.
Well, I would say that Steo isn't particular. It doesn't look hugely crafted, no. But I'd say that Steo isn't massively aware of these things more than anything else. Anton, how did you do on the cunning roll?
I rolled a 1.
Yeah,
Nice.
You think this cavern has been made over a number of years through water action. It all looks very natural.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like the water's worn this away. It's been here for hundreds of years.
Okay, well, we have the extent of the cavern. We should probably put a band on it.
Marvello says, what are you thinking? Walk it round?
Just walk it round. Clockwise, I suppose, for luck.
I'm trying to work out if the people of Ambria would know what a clock is.
Okay.
They know what a
Diosel, then, for
sundial
luck.
is, so they know what a sundial is, right? If nothing else, so I don't know if they have clockwork.
Sundial-wise.
Sundial-wise, dial-wise, in that direction. Yeah. Okay, so you're heading kind of to the northeast first and kind of following around. Yeah, sure. I don't want to hugely protract this because I'll tell you right now that, you know, well, let's have a number of things. Let's go around the cavern in a clockwise fashion. You walk around and find, after again a hefty walk of maybe another 400 meters or so, that there appears to be a passageway on the north side of the cavern. It doesn't have water flowing into it, and it seems to be leading to the north somewhere. You carry on walking round, and kind of the edge of the cavern certainly kind of like, it's not all one big circle. It kind of, you know, comes in and out and has little kind of like little side areas and stuff like that, but none of them seem kind of hugely like they lead to anywhere until you move round to the east, and you sense kind of the edge, that eastern edge of the cavern kind of closing in, and you come across another channel of water, maybe just the eastern part of the one you found to the west, and that is leading into a similar passageway to the east. As you start approaching it, can you all give me vigilant rolls, please, at -2?
Yep. I got a 4.
Okay. Anyone who passes that vigilant gets a slight metallic mineral smell that seems to get stronger as you approach that passageway to the east.
Iron? Did they send the Ordo Magica person we know with us?
Ganderald is with you, yeah, as is Master Furia, who has remained very quiet, but is kind of looking around with interest. But Ganderold is there, kind of taking notes. Yeah.
Ganderold, what smell of iron underground?
I don't think it need be iron, but perhaps it is a water source, a hot spring.
Hot spring.
He
What
kind of
about-
looks down at the channel of water beneath and kind of, it seemed to be kind of pondering whether to, like, check it in some way.
What about the layout of Thistlehold itself? Does anything lie to the east of here that we know to be a source of water? Is there a well a few hundred feet to the east of here?
Yeah. Where is the well?
The well's
The well in
in
the plaza. It's not directly to the east, but there's nothing to say that this passageway continues east. You are thinking of the base of the well.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
That's more like south from here, though, isn't it? Than east.
It is southeast from this point.
That would
As
be
it
a
says.
fun expedition, but might be out of sorts for us. Do you have some way to get a sample of this water? For the sake of inquiry.
He kind of looks around and looks down a little hesitantly at it. And one of the city guard, she kind of looks down, having listened in on this conversation, and seems to be kind of like taking a bit of initiative and just shrugs and kneels down and kind of takes her kind of metal cap off and just kind of sinks it into the water, which fills up very quickly. The flow is a little bit stronger here than it was to the west. And she kind of lifts it up and sniffs it, and kind of looks around. And Furia is kind of peering with some interest, and Ganderold kind of goes. He seems very unsure, but he kind of indicates to continue. And the young guardswoman kind of it smells like metally.
Okay. We know this place is fairly corrupt. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you not to do.
There's a little bit of a silence, and everyone kind of freezes.
I knew it. I knew it. You did not have me 1 second.
At least a couple of people who is Ganderold seems to like release his breath a bit. Marvello steps up behind her and just kind of cuffs her softly over the back of the head, and she kind of goes, sorry, Captain. It's all right. Tastes a bit funny.
Yeah. It's corruption down here. Let's not eat anything else we find on the cave floor, yeah?
All right. Sorry, Captain. She stands up, but looks kind of proud of herself, and a couple of the others are kind of nudging her. The guard definitely seem to have relaxed a little now. They haven't been immediately assaulted by waves of beastly abominations.
Suppose we carry on?
You nod and carry on round the cavern. And you know what? I haven't really got an anticipated cliffhanger for us, so I think I'll leave it there. If I was thinking really well, I would have left it on the cliffhanger of the city guard choking on the water, and would have come back to the comic relief moment. But yeah, I think we can't have a cliffhanger every time, folks. But that seems like as good a time as any. But you know what we will have, actually? We will have... Let's finish it on mapping out this one large cavern room. You find, after going around the full extent of the cavern, you find a couple of things. You find another passageway, a dry passageway to the south. And you find what at first you think is the same passageway you encountered on the west wall. And then you realize there are two. So in effect, what you've got here, and if I can try and... sort of, I always have to think in reverse, right? Because it's a webcam. The water flow seems to be coming from the east, and then somewhere under the pile of rubble, it splits into two and goes to the west. So what you have in total is you have a dry passageway to the north and to the south, virtually opposite each other, and then you have three wet passageways, right, with the channel of water flowing through them, and you have one to the east and two to the west, kind of spaced a bit apart. And then in the center, you have a vast mound of rubble and detritus. And that is the layout of the cavern, and could we have just a little? I can't resist an attempt at some kind of cliffhanger. So can we have everyone roll vigilant at -5, please? Yes,
Made it.
I succeeded. Yeah.
Sam and Alindra.
That is my third roll tonight where I've been one over what I needed.
Wonderful. Sam and Stephen, Alindra and Askarai, on your way round, notice a couple of things. Like, there's a large, definite kind of silence throughout this cavern, but you definitely noted two things. One was that at the east, and let's split it between you. Let's have one of each of you detect these things, and let's say, okay, yeah, Askarai, at the east, at that kind of river passage to the east, you for a moment got a distinct impression of a distant rustling noise, not all that dissimilar to the noise you heard, that a lot of you heard the first time down the sinkhole off in the shadows. You couldn't say exactly, and maybe it was just the water flowing, or maybe it wasn't. Alindra, you, somewhere along that west wall, you also heard something, but something different. For a moment, and again, maybe your imagination, maybe your fears playing a trick on you, you heard a sound that you could vaguely discern over the gently flowing water in the distance. A sound that maybe, just maybe, resembled distant singing. And I think we'll wrap it up there, folks. Thank you very much. If you've got any comments or questions, please sling them in the chat and we will pop them up on screen and talk about them. In the meantime, promo stuff down below. There's a load of links. Links to YouTube and to Twitch. You're watching on one. Please do check out the other. Give us a follow and a subscribe and all that wonderful stuff. We have lots of stuff on our YouTube. All our historical material is on there, one-shots and series and lovely things, and lots of Symbaroum. We also have links to our social media, our Discord, and our Patreon. Those do what those things do. If they're things that tickle your fancy, then please do investigate them. We run 3 ongoing weekly campaigns at any one time, for the most part. Mondays is currently Shadows of Estron, which is a low gothic fantasy thing that Johnny is running. Wednesdays is Symbaroum, this. And Thursdays, as of tomorrow, will be our new, very special anthology event, World of Darkness 20th Anniversary Edition. We're running a series of linked stories with a kind of overarching meta plot, each taking in one different World of Darkness system. We've got Vampire, Werewolf, Mage, Wraith, and Changeling, and we're starting with Vampire tomorrow with a lovely group of people. I'm very excited to be doing it. It's been something I've been sort of mentally planning since I was 15 years old, and I don't need to tell you that was a long time ago. So please do join us for that. That would be wonderful. All those weekly series start at 8:00 p.m. GMT. This week is a wonky one for daylight savings time and difference between time zones. So maybe double check when that starts in your time zone. But we hopefully will see you tomorrow. Where we will also hopefully see you is this Saturday for our monthly one-shot slot. This Saturday, which is the 6th of November, the excellent Chris over here to my left will be running Dune Adventures in the Imperium, a timely one-shot indeed. I don't think... Oh, yes, John is also playing in that, as well as Pierre and someone. Who's the other person playing?
I don't know.
Oh, God. Is it Holly?
No, Holly is definitely not.
No.
Steve?
Holly and Steve. No. John.
No.
Pierre. Steve are playing. Excellent. Wonderful. Yes, so please join them on Saturday. That will be at 3:00 in the afternoon.
If you want some more spicy whole action, that is where you're going to get it.
Absolutely. Nothing but spice. Spicy worm action. In some ways, the opposite. So moving on very hastily from that. Why? Oh, and I probably should also mention, actually, once we do Dune, our December one shot, which We'll be on a Saturday at the beginning of December. We're not sure. It kind of depends which one that might be. But our December one-shot is going to be voted for by you, our loyal fan base. So all across our Discord and our Twitter and our Facebook and things like that, we will be asking you which one-shot from this year already you want a sequel to. And you can vote, and we will do it. And that you've got 11 options there, and they are okay. Alien, Troika, Morkborg, Fiasco, The Expanse, Honey Heist, One Ring, Wonder Home, and Dune.
Dungeon
World. Oh God, I don't know what's. Oh yeah, Dungeon World, and I'm also missing another one then. Oh my God.
Yes.
I'm looking at the
I
playlists.
said Fiasco. My count may have been wrong. Either way, we got a lot to choose from, and they're all on our YouTube.
He's got it.
Oh, have we got it?
Alien, Troika, Morkborg, Fiasco, The Expanse, Honey Heist, One Ring, Dungeon World, Wonder Home, Dune. We must have only done 10. Did we do one? We didn't do one in January.
Or do we not do one in January? We might not have done one in January. Either way, you've got the choice of what we do in December, folks. So yeah, that poll will be coming probably this Sunday. Get in on it. That'd be good. What have we got from chat, John? Pretending you're stream manager again.
We've got. There's been some controversial phrases used tonight.
Spicy hole, yes.
And wet passageway.
I don't like the term wet passageway.
I'm not taking any responsibility for that.
How about moist tunnels? Yeah. Damp ingress? Sure.
Terrible.
Watery chasms?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
As far as we got.
Yeah.
That's far enough.
Far enough. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You don't want to go wandering deep into watery chasms. Please stick to the moist tunnels you were used to. One from Steve. I don't think Chris could stay away from all the hole-related puns, to be honest. So I expect Steer will be going spelunking no matter how much he grumbles. Well, yeah. Is this technically spelunking already? I don't know.
Someone else pointed out that it was Suddenly Wonder Home, which gave me a really good idea for a channel point redeem, which will totally derail all
crossover. Symbaroum Wonder Home crossover.
Just Suddenly Wonder Home for like 6,000 channel points. Right, it's Wonder Home now. Everything's wholesome.
42 has posted a really good potential crossover in the chat there that you might want to pop up. Alien and Bears. Alien and Honey Heist together at last. The crossover you didn't know that would give you nightmares.
Like the Kickstarter these days, it's probably already 3,000% funded.
Written itself. Mike's put sequential comments of the biggest crossover event of the year and a new low for the channel. Which, yeah.
In response to different things, when you were talking about the World of Darkness stuff, I said that was the biggest crossover event of the year, and then the watery tunnels,
watery passages,
all of that was a new low for the channel.
Hey, give it time, Mike. We haven't even started it yet. The World of Darkness series could be a new low for the channel. Let's find out. So we've got a few people following us this week. It's possible that Johnny already mentioned some of them on Monday, but I'll mention you again anyway. Thank you to Atarig, Leastelgit, Lectree, Lost Spoon, Max Casually, Manuel, Elysium Waits. Thank you for following, and thank you to John. Don't know who that could be for 12-month Prime resubscribe. So yeah, Clammy Tubes. There's another one. Not a follower.
Stop it.
Stop. Everyone stop it now.
One of these has to be like the episode title. I don't know which one.
See, you say that, but it doesn't.
The Wrath of the Warden.
I don't know. Would that it'll either get us 1,000 followers or lose us all the existing ones.
That's what the people want.
The people want Clammy Tubes. So thank you for watching, everyone. We'll forgive you if you never tune in again. Thank you to my wonderful players here. Thank you for all the Stream Manager shaped assistance from John as well. And Please join us tomorrow night for World of Darkness. It would be great to have a really good kickoff for it. Please join us for Dune on Saturday. Hey, it's time appropriate. Go see the film and then go watch us play a thing based on it. Yeah. And we'll also see you next week for Symbaroum. So take care out there, folks, and farewell. Goodbye.